This solar eclipse is conjunct Alpha Reticulum in the Reticulum constellation at 7 degrees of Aries. Reticulum is an expression of the future human energy that we are connecting with at this solar eclipse. And this solar eclipse, this new moon in Aries, is connecting us to a new world. It's a revolutionary energy that has big shifts energetic signature to it. And what we may realize at this solar eclipse that there are ways that cannot continue forward. It's a hard stop on many things. Are you curious about your own galactic alignments? Download my Galactic Alignments reference guide. There's a link in the description box and the pinned comment below. Welcome to New Light Living Podcast. I'm Ulrika Sullivan. I'm an intuitive spiritual life coach and a galactic astrologer. This video is a galactic astrology reading of the Aries solar eclipse, which is a new moon at 9 degrees exact on March 29th, 2025. Welcome. What I do in these videos, I put the outer layer of fixed stars, celestial bodies, and galactic points to the traditional Western tropical astrology wheel. And that is to help us expand into our multidimensional self, our galactic self, and start to connect with the higher aspects of ourselves that are part of our soul's journey. And this reading is a expansive look, a window into the future human. And I'm excited to share this reading with you. What you'll receive in this video are 3 galactic energetic themes that I have pulled out from the solar eclipse chart. And we are going to also look at astrology charts for each of the themes. And at the end, I also give you 3 questions should you want to integrate this solar eclipse in Aries energy some more. This Aries solar eclipse new moon is the 6th new moon in a row. And at 9 degrees, we are going to likely expect a culmination of these 6 new moons in a row since November 2024. And in Aries, that is an energy about ourselves. Aries is the first sign in the zodiac. So all the light is going to be on us as individuals and our soul growth next into becoming and expressing the future human energy. The ruler of this solar eclipse is Mars, and Mars is now at 22 degrees of Cancer and is playing a key role in this evolution into the future human. So we're going to talk more about Mars's role in energetic theme 3 coming up. So here's just a little heads up that gives you perspective. The next new moon we are going to have at 9 degrees is going to be in the sign of Leo, and not until August 2nd, 2027. And that is also going to be a solar eclipse. So between now and August 2027, there is a cycle starting. And at the August 2nd solar eclipse in 2027, Neptune will be conjunct Alpha Reticulum. So take that in. There is likely a cycle here between now, this solar eclipse, and the solar eclipse in August 2027 that we are asked to pay attention to. This solar eclipse is conjunct the Reticulum constellation and the fixed star Alpha Reticulum. And Reticulum is interesting because it does not come with an ancient myth to it. Often, Reticulum is associated with futuristic energy. And at this solar eclipse, we're connecting with energy that signifies the future human and the characteristics of the future human. And we're going to talk more about the role of Alpha Reticulum at this solar eclipse in energetic theme 1 coming up. This solar eclipse, the new moon in Aries, is a connection to a new world, a connection to a futuristic energy that signifies what humanity is going to evolve into next. It's an energy of a new order where we may realize that things we have maintained in the past cannot simply continue. So it's an energy of big shifts, and it connects us to our higher self, our galactic self, and the influx of energy that supports our evolution, both individually, but also humanity as a collective. So this is an inner expansion energy at the individual level. And it's almost like the phoenix is rising here. And it's a evolutionary, revolutionary energy that is putting us in alignment with that next evolution in our life, whatever that may be for you. But it's a natural alignment with such powerful energy that's coming through. And we are connecting with our higher selves to a greater degree at this time. We're meant to expand at this solar eclipse. And what this may mean is that we're coming in closer contact with our authentic self, our inner child, whatever we want to put the label on that energy that is just innocent and pure within ourselves, because it's from that place our next evolutionary leap is happening. The future human is listening to its inner guidance, and it takes courage to do. At this solar eclipse, we're tapping into that soul wisdom that requires us to be fully authentic, not only with ourselves, with others as well. And it is from that place that the future human is interacting. So we are not selling ourselves short anymore. And it takes courage. It takes courage to listen to that wisdom within and live it. And the collective influence of this future human energy is often coming from what we call the Kuiper belt objects that are representing a higher consciousness that we now have access to through a higher frequency. And at this solar eclipse, we're connecting primarily with Salacia, the dwarf planet in the Kuiper belt, that represents a unified masculine feminine energy within. And Salacia is conjunct the solar eclipse here. So we're going to talk more about Salacia and other dwarf planets that represents this future human consciousness. So stay with me for the first energetic theme coming up next. Before we go into the Aries solar eclipse astrology chart, I'd like to share what the galactic energetic themes are in this video. The first theme is the future human. And here we're going to talk more about Alpha Reticulum. We're going to talk about Salacia and Makemake, who are both dwarf planets in the Kuiper belt. The second theme is the Orion effect. And here we're going to talk about Orion Betelgeuse, but also Jupiter's impactful journey in Gemini the next months, activating our galactic alignments to the Orion constellation. The third theme is inner expansion frequency. And here we're going to talk about Lyra Siliphat. We're also going to talk about Boots, Actress, and the asteroid Lilith. All right, let's dive into the Aries solar eclipse chart next. So here we have the solar eclipse chart. And as you can see there, the sun and the moon are at 9 degrees of Aries, conjunct Alpha Reticulum at 7 degrees of Aries, and also Salacia at 10 degrees of Aries. Wow, what a powerful combination. No wonder we have Phoenix rising energy here at this solar eclipse. And you also see the ruler Mars there at 22 degrees of Cancer, opposite the Lyra constellation, and the fixed star Siliphat at 22 degrees of Capricorn. I also want to mention, as you notice here, there is very crowded in the sign of Pisces. And this is an extraordinary alignment with so many planets in the sign of Pisces. So it really is a support for Neptune, who is moving into Aries, 0 degree of Aries, the day after this solar eclipse on March 30th. So the focus is really on this Pisces-Aries cusp. And this is going to be a significant energy release, if you will, with that shift from Pisces to Aries. All that wisdom of the 29th degree of Pisces moves into a new paradigm at 0 degree of Aries. So think about it that way. It's like walking a bridge between something we know from the past that is of the old order, if you will, and moving into something completely new at 0 degree of Aries. And that's really what we're talking about here, that signature of energy of a phoenix rising. And within that phoenix rising energy lies the promise of humanity's evolution, the future human energy that we're all stepping into collectively here with Neptune moving into Aries. And it's almost like a kickstart. The messages are already coming through because Mercury in retrograde is at the solar eclipse at 0 degree of Aries. So the messages are already prepared for us to receive at this solar eclipse. So all we need to do, as you will see later on in this video, is to open up and receive the messages that are right for you at this time. And this is the setup for the solar eclipse. And we're going to dive into the first theme, the future human, next. So here we have the first theme that I call the future human. And of course, the main focus is that cusp between Pisces and Aries, but also the focus on that 9-degree point in Aries, which is 9 in numerology, is a culmination. So there is something here that is a significant focus for the future. And what you can see here is that Salacia at 10 degrees of Aries is really the higher frequency that's coming in, that is supporting this rising energy, that phoenix rising energy. And Salacia stands for unity and higher love energy. And what does that mean? If you think about masculine and feminine energy, each one of us have these two aspects of ourselves. And Salacia represents the unified energy in balance of those two energies. Salacia stands for higher frequency of unified energy between masculine and feminine energy. Salacia is that higher love that is of psychic character. And here is where the soul's wisdom come in. The future human is operating from the heart and in connection with our soul self, our galactic self. And this is Salacia's statement at this solar eclipse, that we are invited to balance wherever our life is out of balance in. The Salacia is a very harmonious and balanced energy, but at the very high frequency, at the psychic level. So in practical life, this may be that we're now invited to take a look at where my life is imbalanced. Opposite Salacia, we have Makemake, another dwarf planet in the Kuiper Belt that is bringing in systems consciousness. And what is systems consciousness? In human form, we need systems, structures to be able to relate to higher frequencies. So Makemake in Libra here, in opposition to this solar eclipse, is this invitation to strengthen our ways of using higher consciousness and more consistently. Higher consciousness is something that is unseen, but we are asked now at this solar eclipse to put it in some sort of ritual or system, a way, a practice that is working for us. And in Libra here, it is to understand how we are interacting and working with others to come to that understanding. The future human energy is not about individuals. It's about the collective and how we operate as a collective in harmony with each other. And that's what Makemake wants us to understand at this solar eclipse, to understand what role each relationship has in our lives at this point, because each relationship stands for a support for our soul growth at this time. Each person in our life is having a role that supports our soul's evolution. And it's beyond the traditional labels that we may have of friend or husband or wife or partner. It's beyond those labels that Makemake wants us to understand how each relationship and how we interact with each relationship at the soul level. At the solar eclipse, we also have a grand fire trine. So what would the Phoenix rising energy be without a grand fire trine? So let me break down this fire trine for you. It is, of course, the solar eclipse and a trine to Scorpius Antares at 10 degrees of Sagittarius. And Antares is part of the stargate between Antares and Aldebaran. So there's an element here that is supported by multidimensional, very expansive energy that goes beyond our own galaxy. We also have a trine to Varuna at 8 degrees of Leo. And Varuna is another Kuiper Belt object, a dwarf planet that brings in that higher consciousness at this time. And Varuna stands for sovereignty and self-mastery. So this Phoenix rising energy, this powerful grand fire trine is fueling this expansion that we are in at this time. So with this also comes a kite, of course, with Maki Maki being at the top of the kite. So that often gives us guidance around what to focus on. So how can you understand all the relationships that you have, what role they have at the soul level for you, supporting you to become a higher vibrating future human? Because this solar eclipse is the takeoff for this understanding at the soul level. Relationship dynamics often have been playing out lifetimes over lifetimes over lifetimes. So Maki Maki also brings in that higher perspective that brings us into our soul journey, a much bigger perspective than this life. But you can take a look at your relationship and the dynamics within your relationships, and likely you have worked with that energy dynamic in many lifetimes before. But to lean on that ancient wisdom that your soul comes with is what we're asked to do here at this solar eclipse. But there's more. We also have a yod to highlight the point of 9 degrees even further. And that is a yod between the asteroid Atlantis at 8 degrees of Scorpio and Draco Tuban at 7 degrees of Virgo. And this is just an extra punch to emphasize this solar eclipse as important. Asteroid Atlantis often represents our heritage and energy linkage into ancient civilizations such as Atlantis. And Draco Tuban at 7 degrees of Virgo represents that strength that we need to have when we encounter adversity and the depths that we need to stand in within ourselves to stay true to ourselves. So this yod is really emphasizing that 9-degree point of this Aries solar eclipse. So here we go. We cannot be reminded enough by the stars how important this Aries solar eclipse is and the time we're in, because this is a shift. It's almost like turning a page. That old to new type of energy is very pronounced. So all eyes are on that inner authority of yours. How do you stand in your own light and shine? Salacia wants us to be that glitter on the ocean, that light. So here we have the reticulum constellation, and I found a bigger map here to be able to orient where the reticulum constellation is in the sky. It's very close to Eridanus constellation, which we've talked about in previous videos, and I've highlighted Alpha Reticulum here. So little tidbits about Alpha Reticulum. Alpha Reticulum is said to be 300 million years old and 13 times bigger than our sun and about 161 light years away. So an Alpha Reticulum is estimated to be about 240 times brighter than our own sun here. So that gives us a little perspective of what we're energetically interacting with here at the solar eclipse. And we can find Alpha Reticulum at 7 degrees of Aries. So what are your galactic alignments to Alpha Reticulum? I'm curious to know. And if you join us within the YouTube membership, I've created a journey, an experience to Alpha Reticulum that we are going to go on. If you're considering to join us for that experience, go to the pinned comment or the description box and join us there. So here we have Salacia and Makemake, and there are not that many telescope images of the Reticulum constellation, but I found one with the Zeta Reticuli, which is part of the Reticulum constellation, but not necessarily Alpha Reticulum, but we'll take that. Salacia is reminding us to be light, to be like the shimmer on an ocean when the sun is hitting it. It's a very high frequency of energy, and Salacia is associated with mermaid energy, but also water. So intuition, that psychic part of us that we are now invited to open up a lot more to. And Makemake, who is bringing in ancient wisdom to help us orient ourselves in our relationships and see the bigger picture of our network of relationships that we may have and what the role in our soul's journey they each have. And we're asked to stand tall in our ancient wisdom that our soul is carrying so that we can move into a higher frequency using our heart to operate and interact from. Because interacting through the heart, we are connected with our soul self. We are limitless and connected to the universe at the same time. So this is a next level way of being as a human that is represented by this solar eclipse. Are you curious about your own galactic alignments? Download my Galactic Alignments reference guide. There's a link in the description box and the pinned comment below. All right, are you ready for the second theme, the Orion effect? So here we have the second theme that I call the Orion effect. And first, I'd like to again acknowledge the pileup of placements and planets here in Pisces. And it really is the constellation of Pegasus that is in highlight here at this time. And we've talked a lot about the Pegasus constellation in previous videos. But I wanted to put the importance of the influence and interaction with the Pegasus constellation because there is an active square between Neptune now at 29 degrees of Pisces conjunct Pegasus sheet and Orion Betelgeuse at 29 degrees of Gemini. And coming up here next, I'm going to talk about the importance of Jupiter's journey to conjunct with Orion Betelgeuse on June 8th, 2025. So here we go. And I wanted to put into perspective what this square is meaning, because this 29 degree is a culmination degree as well. And here we will follow Jupiter's journey from now 15 degrees of Gemini all the way to conjuncting Orion Betelgeuse on June 8th, right before entering Cancer on June 9th, 2025. And alongside Jupiter here activating the Orion placements and alignments that we have in our charts, Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde is also supporting this square activity, because Venus, if you recall from the lunar eclipse video, Venus stationed retrograde right at 10 degrees of Aries, where the solar eclipse now, and will be stationing direct on April 12th at Pegasus markup position of 24 degrees of Pisces. And Mercury also is now at this solar eclipse at 0 degree of Aries, but is on his way retrograde all the way to stationing direct conjunct Pegasus sheet at 26 degrees of Pisces. So that's the higher purpose of Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde in the area of the third decan of Pisces here, is to truly support Jupiter's work in expanding our connection with our ancient soul history connected to the Orion constellation through that square that Jupiter is maintaining here all the way to June 8th, 2025. So Jupiter's journey is going to be highly significant because the Orion constellation is associated with human galactic heritage, and often it is in a very polarized energy setting and signature. So this is also what we're working with as a soul, to harmonize and come into wholeness and balance with this extreme polarity that many of us have experienced throughout our soul's journey in association with the Orion constellation. So this period of time from April 8th to June 9th, where Jupiter is going to conjunct various fixed stars in the Orion constellation, is going to be highly impactful for the collective, but also on each one of us individually. What are your galactic alignments to the Orion constellation? I will be diving even deeper into this in our members community. So there will be a members only video, or more than one, who knows, available over time here to really address this unearthing of soul memories that many of us have in association with the Orion constellation. So depending on what alignments you have to the Orion constellation, that could be oppositions, sextiles, trines, squares. I'm giving you Jupiter's conjunction and the timing for it over the next couple of months here in this slide. This list of dates may give you a feeling for when Jupiter will be activating and expanding that insight and understanding of how this Orion energy is expressed in your life currently. So here we have the Orion constellation, and this is just another pictorial of the Orion, the hunter there, and the stars that are involved in this constellation, and also beautiful picture here of the stars themselves, just to help us orient ourselves in terms of where the different stars are located in the sky. So if you're curious to join us for this deep dive in the Orion constellation coming up, go to the pinned comment of this video or the description box. There's a link to join there. So at this solar eclipse, we're getting reminded that Jupiter is doing a lot of expansion work for us collectively. So as we head into April here, Jupiter will work in concert with Mercury and Venus as they station direct. And this square activity is an invitation to expand beyond our comfort zone. And Jupiter will be conjunct the first fixed star in the Orion constellation, Orion Regal, on April 7th at 17 degrees of Gemini. And then we have multiple alignments as Jupiter moves further into the late part of the second decan of Gemini, but also all of the third decan of Gemini is going to be highly, highly important to unearth these soul memories from diverse polarized energy that our souls carry memories of, that we're now due to release and transmute to a higher frequency. All right, are you ready to dive into the third theme, inner expansion frequency, next? Here we have the third theme that I called inner expansion frequency. And here we're going to talk some more about that Chiron Mars square that is now at the solar eclipse exact at 22 degrees. And this square is in effect already from March 9 to April 6th. But here at this solar eclipse, we have a grand cross in effect. And again, a grand cross is a harmonious energy, but it's also requiring us to expand. And this grand cross is activated by true Lilith's position here at 22 degrees of Libra, conjunct Boots Actress. And as I mentioned early, Mars, as the ruler of this solar eclipse, is opposite the Lyra Sulfat fixed star at 22 degrees of Capricorn. So here we have Lilith activating this powerful, powerful grand cross, maintaining this Chiron Mars square really significantly. And we also have this kite where we have Saturn conjunct Markab at 24 degrees of Pisces, and Uranus opposite Beta Centauri Hadar at 24 degrees of Scorpio, Uranus is at 24 Taurus now. And also Mars then moving forward into the realm of 24 degrees here, shortly opposite the Lyra Salafat. This is a stabilizing energy for the times we're in. And this minor grand trine between Saturn, Uranus, and Mars here will be in effect all the way to April 14th. And at that time, Mars will be at 26 degrees of Cancer, conjuncting Canis Minor Procyon at 26 degrees of Cancer. But at this solar eclipse, with a true Lilith at 22 degrees of Libra here, linking into and activating the energy associated with Booth's Actress, this becomes a significant focus on Saturn there at 24 degrees of Pisces, and also Uranus opposite Beta Centauri Hadar. So this is the part of this kite that is highlighted at this solar eclipse through Booth's Actress and Lilith there, in opposition to Chiron at 22 degrees. This yod is bringing the highlight to Actress, and Actress is playing a key role at this solar eclipse in opposition to Chiron there to help us go higher in frequency. Lilith at 22 degrees of Libra conjunct Actress at 24 degrees of Libra is bringing in the energy signature of standing up for our authentic truth. And this is in opposition with Chiron there, which may be where we are asked to evolve and expand from it being a wound into a potential, and potential that is required here now as we are evolving into the future human. This is also what Mars is highlighting through that square with Chiron at this solar eclipse, because there may be buried emotions here that we need to allow to come up to the surface. Part of the new world and part of the old is that we are no longer accepting this suppression of our inner emotions. The new world is requiring us to be in full connection with our emotional body in a pure state. Booth's Actress on the sky map here is associated with emotional healing and very much connected to our emotional body. So here at this solar eclipse with Lilith opposite Chiron, it's an invitation to come clear with our buried emotions. And often buried emotions or suppressed emotion is what hinders us from connecting with our soul self. So consider how Lilith is working with you at the solar eclipse in relationships, in Libra, which is representing relationship, in opposition with Chiron, which is yourself, your individual self. So this is an invitation to allow that to surface and come to a inner truth, an inner authority, and stand up for who you truly are. Bringing it back to the Grand Cross here, and Lyra Salafat, which is in opposition to the ruler of the solar eclipse, is associated with harmony frequency, a frequency that is very much balanced and higher harmonics. So this is the guidance as well, that we're now invited to take a leap into a higher frequency at the solar eclipse. So yes, this future human theme of the solar eclipse is giving us a glimpse into how the future human is invited to operate. It is from a psychic, empathic way and in communion with others. It's a evolution where we are stepping more and more away from identifying ourselves as individuals, but actually as a community of souls, moving humanity into a new level of understanding. And with Neptune moving into Aries the day after this solar eclipse, it's a significant milestone for opening up to our psychic abilities, our intuitive powers, our ways of interacting that is way beyond what our mind can come up with. I would love for you to experience this journey to alpha reticulum and contemplate your higher frequency, your expression of the future human. So if you feel called to be part of our community inside the YouTube membership, join us today. Wow, that's a lot for the solar eclipse. And I'm so happy you're still with me here in this video all the way to the end. So if you're curious about all of this, we are diving deeper inside the YouTube membership. So I have a couple of questions. Should you want to integrate this Aries solar eclipse some more? The first question is, how is your view on relationships changing at this time? And also, what do you have in common with other humans at the soul level? The second question is, what are your alignments to the Orion constellation? And it can be found out through your birth chart and using the Galactic Alignments reference guide that I offer. There's a link in the description box and the pinned comment. What does the Orion alignments in your chart represent for you? And this can be a little journey to connect with, because often our relationships are showing us the lessons that we need to learn to move to a higher frequency. The third question is, what are you taking action on to create more stability in your life at this time? What is your stability based on? Because when we move to a higher frequency, we need also even more stability within. To hold a higher frequency, we are also invited to ground even more to planet Earth. What are you taking action on at this time to create more stability for yourself so that your inner phoenix can rise? So a little announcement at the end here. We are in the YouTube community and the 2025 Galactic Astrology Forecast program. We are gathering as a community on March 26th to talk about 2025 Galactic Astrology. And I bet there will be a lot of focus on the solar eclipse. So if you have purchased the 2025 program or is a member of the YouTube membership, you'll be automatically invited to this session with me. So if you're curious, join either the 2025 program or the YouTube membership, and you'll be invited to that session. If you're curious about what I offer, visit me on ulrikasullivan.com. I do offer readings. I do offer professional coaching. I'm all for expanding into the future human and to anchor and integrate that energy here. Thank you for listening and watching New Light Living Podcast. I'm Ulrika Sullivan. I'm an intuitive spiritual life coach and a galactic astrologer. Thank you for being here with me, listening and watching to New Light Living Podcast. So if you're curious, check out my offerings on my website, ulrikasullivan.com. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate you, and I can't wait to get back with another video for you. Take care, enjoy the solar eclipse, and bye-bye.